Hello students, welcome back. It's time to learn how the pieces move. But before we get to it, let's review what we learned in lesson number 1. And anyways, we have to do it anytime you're going to play chess. So first thing, we have to make sure the board is set up the right way. And all we have to do is basically make sure that this square at the bottom right corner is a light square. If that's not the case, just rotate the board and you're going to be just fine. Then I'm going to set up my pieces. I'm going to start with the white pieces. I'm going to bring my rook, then the knight, then the bishop, and then I go to the other side. Rook, knight, bishop. Then it's time to put the queen and the king in the middle. And since I'm setting up the white pieces, my queen is going to be light, so I put it on the light square. That's the rule. And then the king goes next to the queen. And of course, we just put the pawns in front. Now I'm going to set up the black pieces. You could do it just like I did with the white pieces, or you could do it by pieces, like put the rooks first, one on each corner. Then next to the rooks, we put the knights, then the bishops, and this time the queen is dark, so that means the queen goes on the dark square, the king goes next to her, and pawns go in front. And honestly, once you get the hang of it, you could put it anywhere you want. You could put a bishop first, then a pawn. It doesn't really matter, as long as you put the pieces where they belong. And if at this point you're still having trouble setting up the pieces, trust me, all it takes to fix that little problem is do it over and over and over and over. If you do it 5 times, 7 times, 10 times, and if you do it as quickly as you can, try to have fun with it, do it as quickly as you can. Trust me, that's what it takes to fix it. And one of the main mistakes you're going to see people doing at the beginning is that they confuse the knight and the bishop. They put the bishop where the knight is and so on, or the queen and the king. But again, with a little bit of practice, that's going to be out of the way. Now, with this being said, let's move on to how the pieces move. And for that, I'm going to remove all of the pieces and just leave the king. So here we go. We're going to start with the king because the king is one of the easiest pieces to learn. And basically, the king is going to move one step in every direction. If you look at the white king, the king could move to any of these squares right next to him. So it's like you could think of it like a box of 8 squares that the king is always going to have access to. If you pay attention to the black king, notice that I put him at the edge on purpose, because in this case the king has only 5 squares that he could go to. We don't have more space on the board, so he has only access to 5 squares. If I happen to have the king at one of the corners, then it's not going to be 8 or 5 squares, it's going to be only 3 squares that he could move to. And that's it, that's how the king moves. I'm going to give you a small exercise, that way you can sort of see it a little bit better, but this is all it takes. So let me just move the kings a little bit. Let me bring some more pieces around. All right, so take a look at this exercise. I just want you to see how the king is going to move, and also I wanted to go over a few other rules with this example. So in this exercise, basically our goal is going to get this king to this square, and the black king is going to make his way to this square. And I would like to highlight another rule. And this rule is that the kings cannot jump over pieces, and they cannot go to squares where their own pieces are placed. Like in this case, I want to go all the way to this square, but I cannot go this way. That will be the fastest way, just going probably up one step at a time and then turn, but this pawn is in the way, so I cannot move that way. So I told you the king has access to 8 squares, but that's only when they are empty. There's none of his pieces on those squares. So here I have to go to this square and then make my way up one step at a time. That's the only way for the king. For the black king, same thing. He cannot move here right now, but he could move up, then here, and so on. So with that being said, let's get to it. In chess, you're gonna take turns. So the white pieces take a turn, then the black pieces, and so on. So I move my king. There we go. Now it's going up, but notice it's one step at a time. And then I'm gonna take a pause at this moment, just to go over it one more time. So this king could move to any of these squares, and the black king could move to any of these squares. Of course, it doesn't make sense to go back or to the sides right now. We have an objective, so let's keep going to our destination. So the king goes here, and just like that, the black king got to his square, and my king needs 2 more moves. So he moves there. Let's say we make a move with the king again, just to allow the white king to get to its destination. And that's it. As you can see, it was 1 move at a time. Now, with that being said, I hope you understood how the king moves. Let me now do the same thing and just bring the queen on the board. Now, the queen is going to be similar to the king in the sense that the queen could move 1 step in every direction, but the queen is actually way better. The queen happens to be the most powerful piece in chess, and the queen can actually go in every direction, but as many squares as she likes. So that's what makes her the best piece. So all of these squares are the ones that the queen can move to, and I'm going to do it also by highlighting it. Maybe it paints a better picture. This way, then I go diagonally. So it's going to be always on a straight line, but see how many squares the queen can move to. And that's it. So you can move in any direction on a straight line. And of course the queen, just like the kings, cannot jump over other pieces. It cannot turn. So you see she can go so far, but it has to be on a straight line. If I wanted this queen to go from here to here, it'll require 2 turns. I cannot just in 1 move go like that, or just place it over there. I have to make a move. Probably I go over here, then my opponent makes a move, and then I could go like that. But as long as you go straight, you could go as far as you like. So just to give you, just to practice a little bit more, let's say I put my queen over here. So my question to you is, do you think this queen could go from here all the way here? Well, yes, the queen could just go diagonally, straight, and I could move there. So if it was my turn, I put my queen there, and I'm done. Now let me put the queen over here. Can the queen go from here to here? Not in 1 move. There's no way you can go on a straight line to that square. What about over here, all the way to the other side? Well, yes, the queen could go on this diagonal, and you could make it all the way to the other side. And that's it. That's how the queen moves. As many squares as you like in any direction. So let me bring it to the center, and now it's time to go over to the next piece. Here we are with the rook. The rook is going to move through the files and the ranks. If you remember from lesson number 1, files are the lines that go up and down, and the ranks are the lines that go side to side. So that's exactly how the rook moves. As many steps as you like, up, down, side to side. That's it. You could move 1 step, you could move 2 steps, or you could go all the way to the end of the board as long as you go in a straight line, up, down, side to side. So just like I did with the queen, I'm going to highlight the squares that this rook specifically could go to from its current position. If I want, I could go up to this square, I could go up to this one, I could go all the way up to the end. Same thing side to side or going down. Now let me change position for the rook. I'm going to put it right here. Now from here is the same thing. I could go up, down. Of course, I don't have down. There's no more space to go down with the rook. I could go to the right, and I cannot go to the left in this case for the same reason. There's no more space. But as long as I have space on the board, I could move up, down, side to side. So from this position at the corner, my rook could move to any of these squares or to any of these squares. If, just to give you another example, if the rook happens to be over here, well, I could move up only 1 square. I don't have more space. I could move down. I could move to the left. And to the right, I can only go up to 1 square because that's all I have. Now, let me ask you a few questions about the rook. Can the rook from this position move all the way here? Well, yes, I could just go all the way to the right, and it's a good move. Now, let's say I'm here. Can my rook go from here all the way to this square? Well, in one move, I cannot go like that. The rook doesn't move diagonally. So again, the rook is going to move straight up, down, side to side.